The scream shook St. Nicholas Hospital like thunder splitting the sky. Ola Fatakimi was in labor, her body convulsing with contractions that felt like they would tear her apart. Sweat drenched her face, her natural hair wild and plastered to her forehead as she gripped the bedsheets with desperate fingers. "Where is my husband?" She screamed in Korean, then switched to Yoruba, her voice cracking with pain and fear. "Where is Lee Min-sun? Where is he?" The nurses exchanged uncomfortable glances. Mama Fatakimi squeezed her daughter's hand, trying to soothe her, but Ola was inconsolable. Something was wrong. Deep in her bones, she could feel it. The man she loved, the father of her child, should be here. He'd promised. He'd sworn on everything he held sacred that he wouldn't miss this moment. So where was he? 500 kilometers away, Lehman's son was racing through Lagos rain on his BMW power bike, water spraying from his tires as he tore through Third Mainland Bridge traffic. His long hair whipped behind him, rain hammering his leather jacket. His phone had rung 20 minutes ago with 3 words that sent his heart into overdrive. Your wife. Labor. No. He wasn't going to miss this. Not his daughter's birth. Not the chance to hold Ola's hand and tell her how much he loved her. Not after everything they'd survived together. The hospital was 10 minutes away. 8 minutes. 5. Then 2 black SUVs screeched across the road, blocking his path. Min-sun's bike skidded violently. He fought the handlebars, barely staying upright as the bike fishtailed on the wet asphalt. His heart hammered as he steadied himself, already reaching for the gun concealed beneath his jacket. The SUV doors opened. 10 men in black suits emerged, rain streaming down their faces. Red Scorpion soldiers. Swords glinted in the lightning. Min-sun's blood turned to ice. Then she stepped out of the lead vehicle, and his entire world stopped. Lee Soha stood in the rain wearing a white dress that clung to her body like a second skin. Her hair hung loose and wild around her face. She was supposed to be dead. He'd watched her fall into the Han River. He'd seen the explosion. She was dead. But she was very much alive. "Hello, my love," Lee Soha said in Korean, her voice carrying across the rain-soaked street. "Miss me?" Min-sun's hand tightened on his gun. "You're supposed to be dead. Disappointed?" Lee Soha tilted her head, rain running down her porcelain face. "I'm harder to kill than you thought. I crawled out of that river, Min-sun. Spent 3 months in a basement healing my broken bones, planning my revenge. Do you know what kept me alive? The thought of taking everything from you." The soldiers moved forward, swords raised. Min-sun didn't wait. He drew his gun and fired twice. 2 soldiers dropped before the others could react. He kicked off his bike, using it as a shield as swords clanged against metal and chrome. He moved like the ghost of Gwangwaman he'd once been. A bullet through one soldier's knee, an elbow to another's throat. He grabbed a fallen sword and spun, the blades singing through the rain. He was 37 years old and he'd killed 47 people in his life, and every lesson, every scar, every moment of training came flooding back. Within 90 seconds, 8 soldiers lay groaning on the ground. Min-sun leveled his gun at Lee Soha's head, rain streaming down his face. "I should finish what the river started. But you won't." Lee Soha didn't even flinch. She pulled out her phone with calm, deliberate movements. "Because I have something you want." She turned the screen toward him. The video showed a young Korean woman bound to a chair in a dark room. Her face was bruised, her eyes red from crying. Ji-hae-ha, Mi Soo-ha's 19-year-old sister. Min-sun's finger froze on the trigger. "Remember her?" Lee Soha's voice was poison sweet. "Sweet little Ji-hae. She cried so beautifully at your wedding to her sister. Begged me not to kill me, Sue. I didn't listen then either. If you hurt her..." "Oh, I've already hurt her. 3 months in a cell will do that." Lee Soha swiped to another video. This one showed hospital security footage. 2 men in doctor's coats standing outside a delivery room. Red Scorpion tattoos visible on their wrists when they reached for their pockets. "And these gentlemen are at St. Nicholas Hospital right now. Outside your wife's room. One phone call from me, and they inject enough potassium chloride into her to stop her heart. And your baby?" Lee Soha smiled. "Well, newborns are so fragile." Min-sun's world tilted. He could hear the city around him, could hear the rain, could imagine Ola's screams echoing from kilometers away. "What do you want?" "I want what I've always wanted. You. As my husband." As shadow veils true air. Lee Soha stepped closer, her white dress now translucent from the rain. "We'll unite Shadow Veil and Red Scorpion. Rule Seoul together. Expand to Lagos, Tokyo, London, New York. Build an empire that will make our families legends. I'll never. Then they die. Starting with your daughter. Soha's eyes were cold as the rain. My men will inject the poison the second she's born. Then they'll do the same to your precious nurse. And Jihai? I'll send you her fingers one by one until there's nothing left to send. Min Sun's hand shook. In the distance, he could hear sirens. Time was running out. Or Soha continued, you come with me right now. Renounce your family. Never contact them again. Never speak to them. Never even think about them. And I let them live. Jihai goes free. Your nurse and babies stay safe in Lagos, far from our world. How do I know you'll keep your word? You don't. But it's the only chance they have. Soha extended her hand. I swear on Shadow Vale's honor. Come with me, and they live. Refuse, and they die screaming. What's it going to be? Lightning cracked across the sky. Min Sun thought of Ola's smile. The way she looked at him on Alagushi Beach with her hand on her pregnant belly. The way she'd stitched him up that first night in Seoul, saving a stranger who'd crashed into her life. The way she'd chosen to love him despite everything he was. He thought of Miss Suha drowning in the Han River, her hand pressed against the window as water filled her lungs. He'd failed her. He couldn't fail Ola too. Min Sun holstered his gun. I'll go with you. But Jihai goes free tonight. Your men leave the hospital immediately. And you swear on everything you hold sacred that you'll never touch my family again. Agreed. Soha's smile was triumphant. But there's one more condition. If I ever catch you trying to contact them, if you ever try to see your daughter, if you even think about going back to Lagos, I'll burn that entire city to the ground. Every person you've ever met there will die screaming. Do we have a deal? Min Sun felt something inside him break. But he nodded. Then welcome home, husband. At St. Nicholas Hospital, Ola gave birth at 3:47 in the morning. The baby girl was perfect. Beautiful. She had Min Sun's dark eyes and Ola's golden brown skin, and a head full of soft black curls. The nurses placed the baby on Ola's chest. She was crying, tears of joy and heartbreak streaming down her face as she held her daughter for the first time. Where's the father? One of the nurses asked gently. Mama Fatakimi shook her head, her own eyes filled with tears. We don't know. Ola tried calling Min Sun's phone. Once. 5 times. 20 times. Each call went straight to voicemail. She left messages in Korean and English and Yoruba, her voice breaking with each one. Min Sun, please. Please answer. Our daughter is here. She's beautiful. She needs her father. I need you. Please. But the phone never rang back. Her sister Ngozi brought her fresh clothes and food, but Ola barely noticed. She stared at her daughter's face, seeing Min Sun in every feature, and wondered what could have possibly kept him away. Days passed. Then a week. Still no word. Ola moved through life like a ghost. She fed the baby, changed diapers, sang lullabies in the middle of the night. But her heart wasn't in it. Part of her was still waiting for the door to open, for Min Sun to walk through with some explanation that would make everything make sense. He never came. 2 weeks after the birth, Ngozi burst into Ola's bedroom where she sat nursing the baby. Sister, come quick. You need to see the TV. Ola, cradling her sleeping daughter, followed her sister to the living room. Mama Fatakimi was already there, hand over her mouth, staring at the television screen. Korean News Network was playing. The headline in English subtitles read, Shadow Vale heir returns from dead. Marries Red Scorpion Princess in historic alliance. The footage showed Lee Min Sun standing on a raised platform in traditional Korean Mafia hanbok. The garment was black silk with intricate gold dragons embroidered across the chest and sleeves. His long hair was pulled back into a perfect top knot. He looked like a king from ancient times, powerful and untouchable. Beside him stood Soha in red and white, her hand possessively on his arm. Below them, 500 Shadow Vale and Red Scorpion soldiers knelt in perfect rows, swords raised in salute. Behind them, Madame Ichion stood watching with a satisfied smile that made Ola's blood run cold. The reporter's voice filled the room. In a shocking turn of events, Lee Min Sun, believed to have died in a car accident 8 months ago, has returned to claim his birthright as Shadow Vale's heir. His marriage to Soha, daughter of Red Scorpion's leader, marks the first alliance between these two powerful families in over 40 years. Political analysts say this union could reshape Seoul's entire power structure. The camera zoomed in on Min Sun's face. He looked expressionless, dead inside. Soha leaned close and whispered something. He nodded once mechanically. Ola couldn't breathe. The baby stirred in her arms, but she barely noticed. Her hands had gone numb. Her vision blurred. Ola, Mama Fatakimi said softly. Is that? Is that him? Ola couldn't speak. Couldn't move. She stared at the screen as they showed more footage. Min-sun and Soha signing documents. Min-sun and Soha toasting with champagne. Min-sun and Soha addressing the assembled soldiers. He left us, Ola finally whispered. He left us for power. For her. No, sister, Ngozi said, kneeling beside Ola. There has to be an explanation. That man loved you. I saw it in his eyes. But Ola shook her head, tears streaming down her face. Then where is he? Why didn't he call? Why didn't he fight for us? She looked down at her sleeping daughter, at the tiny face that would never know her father. Your name is Almiso, she whispered in Korean, her voice breaking. After your father's first wife. After the woman who taught him it was okay to love. The baby's eyes fluttered open, dark and beautiful, so much like Min-sun's that Ola had to look away. 5 months crawled by like years. Ola threw herself into work, opening a small clinic in Lekki Phase 1. She worked 16-hour days, treating patients, managing staff, doing anything to keep her mind occupied. But every night, alone in her room, she would stare at photos of Min-sun on her phone and wonder what she'd done wrong. Her mother noticed. Everyone noticed. Ola was fading, becoming a shadow of herself. One night, Mama Fatakimi found her daughter sitting on the floor of her bedroom, Almiso asleep in her crib nearby, tears running silently down Ola's face as she watched a video of Min-sun on her phone. It was from Lagos, from before everything fell apart. He was laughing, his long hair falling into his eyes, teaching her how to say I love you in Korean. Ola, you have to stop this, Mama Fatakimi said gently. That man made his choice. You need to move on. For Almiso's sake. I can't, Mama. Ola's voice was barely a whisper. I need to know why. I need to hear him say it to my face. That it wasn't real. That I was just temporary. That he never loved me. And if he breaks your heart again, then at least I'll know the truth. At least I can finally let him go. Ola wiped her tears. I can't live like this anymore, Mama. I'm dying inside. Every day I look at Almiso and I see him, and I wonder if everything we had was a lie. Mama Fatakimi sighed deeply. When will you leave? Tomorrow. And Almiso? She stays here with you and Ngozi. I'll be back in 2 weeks. With closure. With answers. With something. The next morning, Ola booked a flight to Seoul. She packed a small suitcase, kissed her sleeping daughter goodbye, and left before she could change her mind. The flight was 13 hours of torture. She couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, could only replay every moment with Min-sun in her mind, searching for signs she'd missed. Seoul in winter was exactly as she remembered. Cold. Gray. Beautiful in its harshness. She checked into a small hotel in Gangnam, far from Itaewon and the memories that haunted those streets. That night, she researched everything she could find about Lee Min-sun. He was everywhere in the Korean news. Photos of him at business meetings. Videos of him and Lee Soha at charity galas. Articles speculating about Shadow Vale's expansion plans. In every photo, his eyes looked dead. The next morning, Ola dressed in her most professional outfit, the navy blue suit she'd worn for her nursing board interview years ago. She looked at herself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. When had she become so thin? When had those dark circles appeared under her eyes? She took a deep breath and headed to Shadow Vale Tower. The building was a monolith of black glass and steel, 50 stories tall, with Min-sun's name in gold letters above the entrance. Ola stood outside for 5 full minutes, gathering her courage. Then she walked through the doors like she owned the place. Security stopped her immediately at the front desk. Can I help you? I'm here to see Lee Min-sun, Ola said in Korean, her accent rough but understandable. The guard looked her up and down. Do you have an appointment? No. But tell him Ola Fatakimi is here. He'll see me. The guard picked up his phone, spoke quietly. Listened. His expression shifted from boredom to discomfort. I'm sorry, ma'am. Mr. Lee says he doesn't know anyone by that name. The words hit Ola like a physical blow. Tell him it's about Lagos. About 6 months ago. Tell him it's about what happened in the rain. Another hushed phone conversation. Another apologetic look. Ma'am, Mr. Lee is very busy. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. No. Ola pushed past him toward the elevators. 2 security guards grabbed her arms. She struggled, her professional composure shattering. Min-sun. She screamed in Korean. I know you can hear me. Face me like a man. The lobby had gone silent. People stared. Then the elevator doors opened with a soft ding. Lee Min-sun stepped out, and Ola's heart stopped. He was thinner than she remembered. His hair was shorter but still long enough to tie back. He wore an expensive black suit that probably cost more than her entire wardrobe. But it was his eyes that destroyed her. They were empty. Hollow. Like someone had scooped out everything that made him human. Their gazes met across the marble lobby. For 1 second, one heartbeat, she saw something flicker in his expression. Pain. Recognition. Longing. Then it was gone. Who are you? His voice was flat, emotionless. Ola stopped struggling against the guards. What? I think you have the wrong person. Min Sun's Korean was perfect, cold. Security, please remove this woman from the premises. Are you serious right now? Ola switched to English, her voice rising with each word. You're really going to do this? The I don't know you routine? After Lagos? After everything we went through together? After you promised? I've never been to Lagos, Min Sun interrupted. You're clearly confused. I suggest you leave before I call the police. The guards started dragging her backward toward the exit. Ola fought them, desperation making her strong. We have a daughter. Her name is El Miso. I named her after Mi Su-ha. She has your eyes, Min Sun. She has your... Min Sun's face remained perfectly blank. He didn't even blink. As the guards pulled Ola through the doors, she saw it. Just for a fraction of a second. A single tear sliding down his cheek. Then the doors closed between them. Ola collapsed on the sidewalk outside, her professional suit soaked from the melting snow, her heart shattered into pieces, so small she didn't know if they could ever be put back together. Inside the building, Min Sun stood frozen in the lobby. His hands were shaking. Every instinct screamed at him to run after her, to explain, to hold her and never let go. Sir? One of the guards said. Should we call the police? No. Min Sun's voice sounded strange even to his own ears. Just make sure she doesn't come back. He walked to the elevator on legs that felt like lead, rode up to his office in silence, closed the door, locked it. Then he noticed the cameras. 3 of them in his office alone, red lights blinking. He walked to his desk, sat down, and very carefully kept his face neutral, even as his heart was screaming. In a different building across Seoul, Lee So-ha sat in a room full of monitors, watching security feeds from every camera in Shadow Vale Tower. She watched Min Sun in his office, saw the rigid control in his shoulders, and smiled. Good boy, she murmured. You're learning. She picked up her phone and sent a text. Phase 1 complete. Increase surveillance. If he makes any move toward Lagos, activate contingency. Ola sat in her hotel room for hours, staring at nothing. She'd been so sure he would explain, so certain there was a reason. But the cold denial in his voice had been absolute. Maybe Mama was right. Maybe he'd just been using her all along. Maybe a Mafia heir and a Nigerian nurse had never made sense anyway. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Don't give up. Shadow Vale Charity Gala. Shilla Hotel. Tomorrow 8 p.m. He'll be there. You deserve answers. A friend. Ola stared at the message. Who would send this? And why? 3 blocks away, Ji-ha sat in a dark apartment, her hands trembling as she lowered her phone. She'd been free for 2 months now, released when Lee So-ha no longer needed her as leverage. But the nightmares still came every night. She'd watched the news, seen Min Sun's hollow eyes at his wedding, understood what he'd sacrificed. I'm sorry, Appa, she whispered into the darkness. But you can't save everyone by destroying yourself. The next evening, Ola stood outside the Shilla Hotel in a borrowed waitress uniform. A former colleague from Seoul International Hospital had gotten her the outfit and a fake name tag, Seoyun Kim. Are you sure about this? Her friend had asked. No, Ola had admitted. But I have to try. The hotel ballroom was magnificent. Crystal chandeliers cast rainbow light across marble floors. A string quartet played in the corner. Women wore gowns that cost more than Ola made in a year. Men in tuxedos discussed business deals worth billions. And there across the room stood Lee Min Sun and Lee So-ha. Lee So-ha wore a red dress that looked like it had been painted onto her body. Diamonds dripped from her neck and wrists. Her arm was linked possessively through Min Sun's as she laughed at something a politician said. Min Sun looked like he wanted to die. Ola picked up a tray of champagne glasses and waited. She watched Lee So-ha's patterns, noticed when the woman excused herself to use the restroom every hour. When Lee So-ha finally left Min Sun's side, Ola made her move. She approached with the tray, her heart hammering so hard she thought everyone must be able to hear it. Champagne, sir? Min Sun's hand froze, reaching for a glass. His eyes met hers, and for 3 perfect seconds, the mask dropped. She saw everything. The pain. The longing. The desperate apology he couldn't voice. You shouldn't be here, he said quietly in Korean, his voice rough. Then tell me why, Ola whispered back. Give me one reason, Min-sun. One explanation. Why did you leave us? You don't understand. Then help me understand. Before he could answer, Lee Soha returned. Her eyes locked onto Ola immediately, and Ola watched recognition dawn on that perfect face. Well, Lee Soha said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Who's this, darling? Just a waitress, Min-sun said quickly, but his voice shook. Lee Soha studied Ola with the intensity of a predator examining prey. You're the Nigerian nurse. From the hospital. The one who made such a scene in our lobby. Ola said nothing. Her hands trembled on the tray. How much do they pay you for this work? Soha asked, plucking a champagne glass from Ola's tray. Enough. Not enough for decent shoes, I see. Soha glanced pointedly at Ola's worn flats. Or nice jewelry. Or anything that would make you worth noticing, really. Min-sun's jaw clenched. Soha. I'm just making conversation. Soha's smile was razor sharp. It must be difficult. Being so ordinary. Watching people like us live the lives you'll never have. Tell me, do you ever wonder what it would be like? To matter? Ola's hands tightened on the tray until her knuckles went white. I matter to the people I help. The children I save. That's enough for me. How noble. Soha sipped her champagne, her eyes never leaving Ola's face. But nobility doesn't pay bills, does it? Nobility doesn't get you into places like this. Nobility doesn't make men like Min-sun fall in love with you. The words were a calculated strike, and they hit their mark. Ola's breath caught. Actually, Soha continued, her voice dropping to an intimate whisper that only the three of them could hear, I think you're in the wrong section. The help should stay in the kitchen where they belong. Min-sun, darling, why don't you show this woman where she belongs? It was a test. Ola saw it clearly in Soha's eyes. A challenge. A trap. The ballroom had grown quieter. People were watching now, sensing drama. Min-sun looked at Ola, and she saw everything in his eyes. The apology. The pain. The desperate plea for her to understand. Then his face went blank. He reached out and grabbed the tray from Ola's hands. For one moment, she thought he was going to help her, going to defend her. Instead, he let it drop. The tray hit the marble floor with a deafening crash. Crystal champagne glasses exploded, sending shards skating across the polished stone. Expensive champagne pooled around Ola's feet. The string quartet stopped playing. 300 people turned to stare. I said leave, Min-sun's voice was ice. Before I have you arrested for harassment and trespassing. Ola stumbled backward, champagne soaking through her cheap shoes. Min-sun, please. No. Or I'll have security drag you out. The room was completely silent. Ola could feel every eye on her. She looked at Min-sun one last time, searching for any hint of the man she'd loved. But his face was a stranger's face. Cold. Cruel. Empty. She turned and ran. Through the ballroom, past the shocked guests, down the hallway, not stopping until she burst through the hotel's side exit into the freezing Seoul night. She collapsed against the building, sliding down the wall until she was sitting on the cold ground, and finally let herself sob. Inside, Soha leaned close to Min-sun, her breath warm against his ear. Perfect. You're finally learning your place. Min-sun stood perfectly still, his hands clenched so tightly his nails cut into his palms. He could feel blood trickling between his fingers. Clean this up, Soha said to the staff, gesturing at the broken glass. To the guests, she smiled brilliantly. My apologies for the disturbance. Please continue enjoying the evening. The quartet started playing again. Conversations resumed. The moment passed, becoming just another piece of gossip to share over drinks. Min-sun excused himself to the restroom. Once alone, he braced himself against the marble sink and stared at his reflection. The man looking back was someone he didn't recognize. Someone he hated. He punched the mirror. Glass shattered. Blood ran down his knuckles. Pain bloomed bright and sharp, but it was nothing compared to the agony in his chest. A security guard rushed in. Sir, are you? Get out, Min-sun said quietly. But your hand. I said get out. The guard fled. Min-sun wrapped his bleeding hand in paper towels and returned to the gala, his face a perfect mask once more. Later that night, alone in his bedroom in the Shadow Vale compound, Min-sun sat on the edge of his bed and punched the wall. Once. Twice. 3 times. His knuckles, already damaged from the mirror, split open further. Blood smeared across the white wallpaper. The door opened. Lee Soha stood there in a silk robe, watching him with clinical interest. Feel better? She asked. Get out of my room. It's our room now, remember? We're married. She walked closer. You did well tonight. Keep performing like that, and maybe I'll give Jihai some decent food this week. Min Sun's head snapped up. You promised to let her go. I promised not to kill her. I never specified when I'd release her. Lee Soha smiled. Play your role. Be my perfect husband. Don't make me look foolish. And maybe in a year or two, I'll consider it. You're a monster. I'm a survivor. There's a difference. She turned to leave, then paused at the door. Oh, and Min Sun? I've installed cameras in this room too. So if you're planning to do anything stupid like contact your little nurse, remember I'll be watching. The door closed. Min Sun sat in silence for a long moment. Then he reached under his mattress and pulled out a hidden photograph. Ola and Almiso. His friend Jihai had managed to sneak it to him 2 months ago. He stared at his daughter's face. She had his eyes. Ola's smile. She was 5 months old now, and he'd never held her. I'm sorry, he whispered to the photo. I'm so sorry. Ola returned to her hotel and began packing. She was done. Whatever answers she'd come looking for, she had them now. Min Sun had made his choice. Power over love. Lee Soha over her. His empire over his family. She was zipping her suitcase when someone knocked on her door. Ola froze. It was past midnight. Who would? Another knock. Urgent. She looked through the peephole and saw nothing. Slowly, she opened the door a crack. 2 men in black suits stood there. Red scorpion tattoos visible on their necks. Before Ola could scream, they moved. One hand clamped over her mouth. Another arm wrapped around her waist. A cloth pressed against her nose and mouth, sweet-smelling and chemical. Ola tried to fight, tried to remember the self-defense Min Sun had taught her, but the world was already going fuzzy at the edges. Her last thought before darkness took her was of Almiso, sleeping peacefully in Lagos, waiting for a mother who might never come home. When Ola woke, she was moving. The surface beneath her swayed gently. She could hear waves. Smell salt water. She was on a ship. Her hands were bound behind her back. Her head throbbed where it had hit something during the kidnapping. She was in a luxurious cabin, all dark wood and gold fixtures, lying on a leather sofa. Across from her, sipping wine in an armchair, sat Lee Soha. Good, you're awake, Lee Soha said pleasantly. I was beginning to worry I'd have to start without you. Ola's mouth was dry. Where am I? The Crimson Phoenix. It's my yacht. Well, it was me Suha's father's yacht until I killed him and took it. Poetic, don't you think? Lee Soha set down her wine glass. We're about 50 miles offshore. Far enough that no one will hear you scream. Ola's heart raced. What do you want from me? Want? Nothing. You're already irrelevant. Lee Soha stood, pulling a knife from her dress. The blade caught the light, gleaming. But Min Sun still has feelings for you. I can see it every time I mention your name. And I can't have that. Feelings make people weak. Unpredictable. Dangerous. So you're going to kill me. Eventually. But first, I want to make sure Min Sun knows exactly what he lost by choosing you over me the first time. Lee Soha walked closer, the knife casual in her hand. I'm going to hurt you. Slowly. Carefully. Then I'll send him photos. Let him see what his love cost you. And when I'm done, when there's nothing left but pain, I'll tell him you went back to Lagos. That you gave up on him. That you moved on. He'll know you're lying. Will he? Lee Soha tilted her head. He's already convinced himself he doesn't deserve to be loved. It won't take much to make him believe you finally realized he was right. Ola tried to work her hands free from the ropes, but they were too tight. He'll kill you when he finds out. He'll never find out. We're in international waters. When I'm done, you'll disappear into the ocean, and no one will ever know what happened to the poor Nigerian nurse who came to Seoul looking for closure. Lee Soha raised the knife. The cabin door exploded inward. Lee Min Sun stood in the doorway, soaking wet, bleeding from multiple wounds, a gun in each hand. His long hair hung loose around his face, water dripping down his torn shirt. He looked like an avenging angel. Or a demon. Step away from her, he said quietly, or I paint these walls with your blood. Lee Soha spun, knife still in hand, using Ola as a shield. How did you? Helicopter. Bribed your pilot. Your security is pathetic. Min Sun's eyes never left Ola. Are you hurt? I'm okay, Ola managed, though her voice shook. You're lying. Min Sun could see the bruise forming on her temple. But we'll deal with that later. Let her go, Soha. Or what? You'll shoot me in front of 50 witnesses? Soha pressed the knife against Ola's throat. Every Shadow Veil and Red Scorpion soldier on this ship is loyal to me. You're one man. Put the guns down or I open her carotid artery right now. Min Sun's jaw clenched. Slowly, he lowered the guns. Placed them on the floor. Kicked them away. He did. Soha smiled. Good. Now. An explosion rocked the ship. The floor tilted violently. Soha stumbled, the knife pulling away from Ola's throat. What was that? Soha screamed. Min Sun's smile was cold. That would be the Crimson Phoenix Syndicate. Apparently, they're not happy about you murdering their leader and stealing his yacht. Above deck, chaos had erupted. Gunfire. Screaming. The clash of swords. Ha Jinwoo, Mi Suha's father, had arrived with 100 soldiers, and they wanted blood. Soha dragged Ola to her feet, knife back at her throat. You planned this. I plan to get Ola off this ship alive. Everything else is just karma. Min Sun moved toward them. Let her go. This is between you and me. No. Soha backed toward the door, pulling Ola with her. She's my insurance now. They burst onto the main deck into absolute carnage. Shadow Veil soldiers fought Crimson Phoenix fighters. Bodies lay scattered across the polished wood. The yacht's railing was torn apart from explosions. Fires burned in 3 different locations. And standing at the ship's bridge, watching it all with cold satisfaction, was Madame Ichion. Enough. She shouted in Korean, her voice cutting through the chaos. Bring me Lee Min Sun. Bring me the traitor. 20 Shadow Veil soldiers surrounded Min Sun, swords pointed at his chest. Soha dragged Ola toward the bridge. See, my love? You can't win. You're outnumbered. Outgunned. Give up now and I'll make her death quick. Min Sun looked at the soldiers surrounding him. Then he did something completely unexpected. He stopped fighting, raised his hands, and ripped his shirt open. The dragon tattoo blazed across his chest and ribs, intricate and unmistakable in the firelight. I am Lee Min Sun. He roared in Korean, his voice carrying across the entire ship. Bearer of the dragon sigil. Blood heir to Shadow Veil. Every Shadow Veil soldier froze. Madame Ichion is not the rightful leader. Min Sun continued, his voice like thunder. She is a regent, a placeholder. I am the true heir. The laws of Shadow Veil are absolute. Blood over politics. The dragon sigil holder commands. One by one, the soldiers lowered their weapons. Madame Ichion's face twisted with rage. You dare. I am the heir. Min Sun walked toward her, soldiers parting before him. You held power through manipulation and fear. But Shadow Veil's laws are written in blood. My birthright. And I am taking back what is mine. He turned to face all the soldiers. I command you. Drop your weapons. This ends now. Swords clattered to the deck. Soha's face went white with fury. No. You can't do this. It's already done. Min Sun's voice was steel. Release Ola. Release Jihai. Or I disband Shadow Veil entirely. I'll scatter every soldier to the wind. Burn every business to the ground. Destroy everything your family spent generations building. You're bluffing. Try me. For a long moment, Soha stood frozen, the knife trembling against Ola's throat. Her perfect composure was cracking, revealing the desperation underneath. Then Ola moved. She'd been working the ropes binding her wrists throughout the entire confrontation. Min Sun had taught her this, back in Lagos during lazy afternoons on the beach. How to dislocate your thumb to slip restraints. How to use your body weight as a weapon. The ropes fell away. Ola drove her elbow backward into Soha's stomach with every ounce of strength she had. The air rushed out of Soha's lungs in a shocked gasp. The knife fell from her hand, clattering across the deck. Ola spun, grabbed the knife, and pressed it against Soha's throat in one fluid motion. You want to know what makes me worth noticing? Ola said quietly in Korean, her accent rough but her words clear. I don't need money or power or an army. I have something you'll never understand. I have people who love me for who I am, not what I can give them. Soha's eyes blazed with hatred. You think you've won? You think this is over? She pulled something from her dress. A detonator. If I can't have him, and no one can. Soha's thumb hovered over the button. I've rigged this entire ship with explosives. We all die together. Ola didn't think. She charged forward, tackling Soha. They crashed through the damaged railing together, tumbling over the side, into the black ocean below. Ola! Min-sun's scream tore from his throat. He ran to the railing and dove after them without hesitation. The water was freezing, dark as ink. Ola's lungs burned as she sank, Isoha's hands clawing at her face. They were 20 feet down. 30. The detonator spun away into the darkness, lost to the depths. Isoha's nails raked across Ola's cheek, drawing blood. Her face was twisted with rage, mouth open in a silent underwater scream. Then strong arms wrapped around Ola from behind. Min-sun. He kicked hard, pulling them both upward. Isoha grabbed his ankle, her grip like iron, dragging them back down. Her eyes were wild, desperate. If she was going down, she was taking them with her. Min-sun's choice was simple. Save Ola or fight Isoha. He kicked Isoha in the face. Hard. Once. Twice. Her grip loosened. She sank into the darkness, her white dress billowing around her like a shroud, her hand reaching upward one last time before the black water swallowed her whole. Min-sun and Ola broke the surface, gasping, choking. The yacht was 100 meters away now, half of it engulfed in flames from the earlier explosions. Debris floated everywhere. Min-sun was breathing hard, blood streaming from a wound in his side where shrapnel had caught him during the battle. Are you hurt? I'm okay. But you're bleeding. There's only one life jacket, he interrupted, his voice weak. He was already unstrapping it from a piece of floating debris. And one float. You take them. No. We share. We swim together. Ola, listen to me. Min-sun fastened the life jacket around her with shaking hands. His face was pale, his lips turning blue from the cold. I don't have much time. The shrapnel hit deep. I'm losing too much blood. Don't say that. We're getting out of this together. We're going home to Almiso. I need you to know something first. He cupped her face with hands that trembled from more than just cold. I love you. I never stopped loving you. Not for 1 second of these past 6 months. Ola was crying, her tears mixing with the salt water. Then why? Why did you leave us? Isoha had Jihai. Misuha's sister. She was going to kill her if I didn't come back. Min-sun's breathing was getting more labored. And she had 2 men in the hospital the night you gave birth. If I didn't leave with her, if I tried to contact you, she would have killed you both. I couldn't risk it. I couldn't lose you like I lost Misu. You should have told me. We could have fought her together. She was watching everything. Every call. Every message. Every moment. His eyes were starting to lose focus. But I need you to know. Lagos. Our daughter. You. That was the only real thing in my entire life. The only time I was ever truly myself. Min-sun, stay with me. Please. Ola's voice broke. Almiso needs her father. I need you. Don't you dare leave us now. Tell her I'm sorry. That I wanted to be there. That I loved her before I even met her. His hand was slipping from Ola's face. Tell her about the night we danced on the beach. About the jollof rice you tried to teach me to make. Tell her that loving you both was the best thing I ever did. A spotlight suddenly blazed across the water, blinding them. A boat. A large one, cutting through the waves toward them. Ha Jinwoo stood at the bow, his face grim. I made a promise to my daughter, he called out in Korean. I promised Misuha that I would protect the people she loved. That includes you, Lee Min-sun. They pulled them both aboard. Min-sun collapsed on the deck, his breathing shallow. Ola knelt beside him, pressing her hands against his wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Stay with me, she whispered. Don't you dare die on me now. Ha Jinwoo barked orders. His men moved with military precision. Within minutes, they were racing toward shore, toward a hospital, toward hope. Min-sun's hand found Ola's. Did I ever tell you, he whispered, that the first time I saw you, I thought you were the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen? You're delirious. I'm serious. You were singing in the shower. Burna Boy. Terrible voice. He smiled weakly. I knew right then I was in trouble. Save your strength. I love you. Ola Fatakimi. I love you too. You stupid, self-sacrificing idiot. His eyes closed. The medic on board started working frantically. Don't leave me, Ola whispered, squeezing his hand. Please don't leave me. The boat cut through the black water toward Seoul's lights, toward salvation or loss, toward an ending that wasn't yet written. 3 days later, Ola sat in a hospital waiting room at Seoul Medical Center. She'd been there for 16 hours, ever since Min-sun had gone into emergency surgery. The doctors had removed the shrapnel, repaired internal bleeding, given him 4 units of blood. Now they waited to see if he would wake up. Jihai sat beside Ola, her thin frame wrapped in a borrowed coat. She'd been freed the night of the yacht battle, found locked in a basement room in the Shadow Vale compound. She was malnourished, traumatized, but alive. He saved me, Jihai said quietly in Korean. Ola had learned she spoke some English, and they'd been communicating in a mixture of both languages. When Soha took me, she told me Min Sun Appa didn't care. That he'd forgotten about uni. But he gave up everything to keep me alive. He loves your sister, Ola said. And he loves you. I know. That's why I sent you that text. About the gala. Jihai's eyes filled with tears. I thought if you saw him, if you understood what he was going through, maybe you could save him from himself. I'm sorry it led to this. You have nothing to apologize for. The surgery room door opened. The doctor emerged, pulling off his mask. His expression was carefully neutral. Ola stood on shaking legs. Is he? He's stable. The surgery went well. He lost a lot of blood, but he's strong. The doctor smiled slightly. He's asking for you. Ola ran. Min Sun looked terrible. Pale against the white sheets, tubes and wires running from his arms. Monitors beeping softly. But his eyes were open, and when he saw Ola, his face transformed. Hey, he whispered. Hey yourself. Ola sat beside his bed, taking his hand carefully around the floor. You scared me. I scared myself. He tried to smile, winced at the pain. Is all misso. She's safe in Lagos with my mother. Healthy. Beautiful. Waiting to meet her father. Min Sun's eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry. For everything. For leaving. For the gala. For putting you through this nightmare. Shut up. Ola was crying too. Just shut up and get better. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway. She leaned down and kissed him gently. When you can travel, we're going home. To Lagos. All of us. What about Shadow Vale? Ha Jinwoo is taking temporary control. He's disbanding Red Scorpion, reforming Shadow Vale's operations, making them legitimate. Ola brushed hair from his forehead. You don't have to be the ghost of Gwangwaman anymore. You can just be Min Sun. Almisso's father. My husband. A man, not a weapon. That sounds perfect. Over the next 2 months, Min Sun healed. Slowly. Painfully. But he healed. Ha Jinwoo visited often, bringing news of Seoul's underworld restructuring. Madame Icheon had been arrested on multiple charges. Shadow Vale was becoming a legitimate security corporation. The violence was ending. Your daughter would be proud, Ha Jinwoo told Min Sun one afternoon. She always believed you could be more than what they made you. I wish I could tell her thank you. You can. By living well. By being happy. Ha Jinwoo stood to leave. Mi Suha's last words to me were about you. She said, promise me you'll protect him. Even from himself. I'm keeping that promise. Jihai slowly recovered too. She started eating again. Smiling. Making plans. She wanted to open an animal shelter, she told them. The one her sister had always dreamed of. I'll help fund it, Min Sun said. On one condition. You name it after her. The Mi Suha Animal Sanctuary, Jihai said, testing the words. She would have loved that. 3 years later, Ola stood in the doorway of the Fatakimi Okafor Medical Center, watching her family play in the courtyard. The clinic had expanded dramatically. Now it had a pediatric wing, a trauma center, and a partnership with Seoul Medical Center for international cases. Min Sun was pushing Almisso on a swing. She was 3.5 now, all wild curls and infectious laughter. She shrieked with joy as the swing went higher. Papa. Higher. Any higher and you'll fly to Korea. I want to go to Korea. Auntie Jihai said she has puppies. Ola smiled, her hand resting on her very pregnant belly. Their second child. A boy this time. They'd already chosen his name, Segan Min Sun. A name that bridged both their worlds. Ngozi came outside. Sister, you have a visitor. Ha Jinwoo stepped into the courtyard, looking older but more at peace than Ola had ever seen him. I hope I'm not intruding. Never, Min Sun said, setting Almisso down. The little girl immediately ran to Ha Jinwoo. Grandpa Jin. She shouted in Korean, hugging his legs. The old man's eyes grew wet. Hello, little one. They had dinner together that night, all of them. Mama Fatakimi made jollof rice. Min Sun made kimchi stew. They mixed their worlds on plates and in hearts. After dinner, Min Sun and Ola walked on the beach while Ngozi watched the children. The sun was setting, painting the Lagos sky in shades of gold and pink and orange. Do you ever regret it? Ola asked. Giving up Shadow Vale? The power? Not for a second. Min-sun pulled her close. I spent 37 years being what other people made me. A weapon. A heir. A killer. Now I'm finally who I want to be. A father. A husband. A man who helps instead of hurts. Who are you, Lee Min-sun? I'm the luckiest man alive. He kissed her. I'm yours. That night, after Almissa was asleep, they sat on their rooftop under the stars. Min-sun's arm was around Ola's shoulders. Her head rested on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. Tell me the story again, Papa, Almissa had said before bed. About how you and Mama fell in love. And Min-sun had told her. About the rain and the shower and the nurse who saved a monster's life. About betrayal and sacrifice and love that survived everything the world threw at it. And they lived happily ever after? Almisso had asked. Yes, baby. They lived happily ever after. Now, under the Lagos stars, Ola whispered. No more secrets? No more secrets, Min-sun promised. Just us. Forever. In Seoul, Jihai opened the doors to the Mi-su-ha Animal Sanctuary. She thought of her sister often. Wondered what she would say about how everything had turned out. In Lagos, a family slept peacefully. A former Mafia heir who'd learned to choose love over power. A Nigerian nurse who'd taught him how. And a little girl who would grow up knowing both her worlds, bridging cultures with every breath. Soha's body was never recovered from the ocean. Sometimes, in nightmares, Min-sun still saw her sinking into the darkness. But Ola was always there when he woke, real and warm and alive, to remind him that the nightmares were over. The shadows had finally found their light. And if you love this story of sacrifice, redemption, and love that conquered everything, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment below telling us what you thought of Ola and Min-sun's journey. Did this ending satisfy you? What should we write next? Your support means everything. Like this video, share it with someone who loves epic romance, and turn on notifications so you never miss our stories. Thank you for watching this journey with us. Until next time, remember, the best love stories are the ones worth fighting for.